In this video we're going to start our in-depth look at the lights and shapes that different vessels show. We're going to be starting off with Rule 21, which is the definitions. I'm going to show you what each of the different lights are, because we're going to be using this during the other videos when we're looking at the lights of individual vessels. So Rule 21, definitions. A masthead light means a white light placed over the fore and aft centre line of the vessel, showing an unbroken light over an arc of the horizon of 225 degrees, and so fixed as to show the light from right ahead to 22.5 degrees abaft the beam on either side of the vessel, or 2 points abaft the beam on either side of the vessel. So looking at it on this diagram, we can see the masthead light is a white light starting 2 points abaft the beam on the port side, running right the way round to 2 points abaft the beam on the starboard side. In my diagrams I'm going to shrink it down to be the right size, and then we're just going to shift it along the vessel to put it in the correct place. Next up, the side lights. Side lights means a green light on the starboard side and a red light on the port side, each showing an unbroken light over an arc of the horizon of 112.5 degrees, and so fixed as to show the light from right ahead to 22.5 degrees abaft the beam on its respective side. In vessels of less than 20 metres in length, side lights may be combined in one lantern, carried on the fore and aft centre line of the vessel. So looking at it on the ship, we can see the green starboard light goes from right ahead to 2 points abaft the beam on the starboard side, and the red port light goes from right ahead to 22.5 degrees abaft the beam on the port side. When we're looking at them like this, all I'm going to do is shrink them down, and then we'll split them so they go on either side of the vessel, where they would normally be mounted. If this was a smaller vessel, of course, we'd still have the side lights from right ahead to 22.5 degrees abaft the beam, but when we shrink them down we can keep them together in a combined lantern. This is only on vessels less than 20 metres. Next we have the stern light, which is a white light placed as nearly as practicable at the stern, showing an unbroken light over an arc of the horizon of 135 degrees, and so fixed to show the light from 67.5 degrees from right aft on each side of the vessel. This is actually just going to join up with those side lights, so it's going to be 2 points abaft the beam. So again, looking at a stern light on this diagram, it's going to start 2 points abaft the beam on the port side and run right the way round to be 2 points abaft the beam on the starboard side. Again, it's only this size for the diagram. In reality, while I'm showing you each vessel, we'll shrink it down and put it in the appropriate place on the vessel. And then similar to stern light, we've got the towing light, which means a yellow light having the same characteristics as the stern light described in the previous paragraph. So on our diagram it's going to be the exact same as the stern light, it's just going to be a yellow light shrunk down and put at the aft end of the vessel. An all-round light means a light showing an unbroken light over an arc of the horizon of 360 degrees. So it's quite simple, it's just all the way round. So here on this diagram we can see we've got the white light going all the way around the vessel. We could equally do it with a red light or a green light. Again, we'll just shrink it down to be the correct size, and then we'll put it in the correct position. So the difference with all round lights, of course, is they can stack on top of each other. So here we've got the white light underneath with a red light on top. Once they're in this particular configuration, we'll then shrink them down and put them in the correct space, and this is going to be representing a red light over a white light, both of them being all-round lights. Then the final part of the rule just says a flashing light in this context means a light flashing at regular intervals at a frequency of 120 flashes or more per minute. So again, this light is going to be represented in the same way on our diagrams. We'll shrink it down, put it in the right place, and then the light is going to be flashing at that frequency of at least 2 flashes every second. And that brings us to the end of today's video. Hopefully you found the information useful. It's just going to be acting as a foundation for future videos where we're going to be looking at the lights and shapes of all different sorts of vessels. Until next time, thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hello and welcome to today's video where we're looking at lights and shapes in depth. We're covering Rule 27, which is vessels not under command and vessels restricted in their ability to manoeuvre. So straight in, paragraph A talks about vessels not under command. They shall exhibit 2 all-round red lights in a vertical line where they can best be seen, 2 balls or similar shapes in a vertical line where they can best be seen, and when making way through the water, you need to also show side lights and a stern light. So if we take a look at this vessel here, we can see that they're going to have to show those 2 red lights in a vertical line where they can best be seen. In the daytime, that would correspond with 2 balls in a vertical line where they can best be seen. And then if the vessel is making way through the water, side lights and a stern light. Paragraph B talks about vessels restricted in their ability to manoeuvre, except if you're engaged in mine clearance, because we're going to discuss that in a minute. You need 3 all-round lights in a vertical line. It's going to be red, white and red. 3 shapes in a vertical line where they can best be seen. These are going to be a ball, a diamond and a ball. And when making way through the water, you need masthead light or lights, side lights and a stern light, in addition to that red, white, red. And when at anchor, you need to be showing that red, white, red in addition to your anchor lights as described in Rule 30. So if we take a look at this vessel, we can see that they're just going to have that vertical red, white, red in a vertical line where they can best be seen. It doesn't say exactly where, just where they can best be seen. And by day, that's going to be the same as a ball, a diamond and a ball. When making way through the water, you're going to have to add on masthead light or lights if you're greater than 50 meters, side lights and a stern light. Paragraph C says a power-driven vessel engaged in a towing operation, such as severely restricts the towing vessel and a tow in their ability to deviate from their course, shall, in addition to the lights or shapes prescribed in Rule 24A, these are the lights for a towing vessel, you need to exhibit the lights or shapes prescribed in paragraph B, which is the red, white, red or the ball, diamond, ball. So only if you're severely restricted do you put up your restricted inability to manoeuvre lights. Paragraph D goes on to talk about vessels engaged in dredging or underwater operations, when restricted in their ability to manoeuvre. They need to exhibit the lights and shapes we've already talked about, which is the red, white, red, and in addition, when an obstruction exists, they need to exhibit 2 all-round red lights, or 2 balls in a vertical line, on the side on which the obstruction exists, 2 all-round green lights, or 2 diamonds in a vertical line, on the side on which another vessel may pass, and when you're at anchor, you need to exhibit these lights instead of the lights prescribed in Rule 30, which is the lights and shapes for vessels at anchor. So if we take a look at this vessel now, we're just going to pull it straight in and add on the red, white, red, which we've already talked about. Now on the side on which the obstruction exists, we're going to need 2 red lights in a vertical line, and by day that's going to correspond with 2 balls in a vertical line. On the other side, the side on which it is safe to pass, you need those 2 green lights in a vertical line, and that's going to correspond to 2 diamonds in a vertical line by day. Paragraph E talks about diving. So whenever the size of a vessel engaged in diving operations makes it impracticable to exhibit all the lights and shapes prescribed in paragraph D, so the ones that we just talked about, that's an awful lot of lights and shapes, and you think a diver may just be out on a little rib or something. If that's the case, the following shall be exhibited. 3 all-round lights in a vertical line where they can best be seen, highest and lowest are red and the middle white. So they've still got to show that red, white, red. And in addition, you need the rigid replica of the International Code Flag Alpha, at least 1 meter in height, and you need to take measures to make sure you can see it all round. Vessels engaged in mine clearance operations shall, in addition to their normal power-driven vessel lights from Rule 23, all the lights prescribed for a vessel at anchor in Rule 30. So mine clearance basically is a power-driven vessel or a normal vessel at anchor, but in addition you've got to show 3 all-round green lights or 3 balls, 1 at or near the foremast head and 1 at each end of the foreyard. They indicate that it's dangerous for another vessel to approach within 1,000 meters of the mine clearance vessel. So if we take a look at that, that's simply going to be these 3 green lights arranged in this pattern at the foremast head and one at each end of the foreyard. Then paragraph G, vessels less than 12 metres in length, except if you're engaged in diving, because we just talked about those, they shall not be required to exhibit the lights and shapes prescribed in this rule. So if you're 12 metres, you don't need to show lights and shapes for not under command or restricted inability to manoeuvre unless you've got divers down. Paragraph H then says the signals prescribed in this rule are not signals for vessels in distress requiring assistance. Those signals are all contained in Annex 4. And that brings us to the end of Rule 27. Hopefully you've found the information useful. Until next time, thank you for watching, and goodbye. So today we're going to be looking at rules 28 and 29. We can cover two rules today because these are both relatively short. As always, we're going to look at the rules themselves and then apply them with the help of a diagram. So rule 28, vessels constrained by their draft. A vessel constrained by a draft may, in addition to the lights prescribed for a power-driven vessel in rule 23, I'm going to link to the video for rule 23 up the top now, exhibit where they can best be seen 3 all-round red lights in a vertical line, or a cylinder. So if we just hop straight over to the diagram, I'm going to apply the power-driven vessel lights. This vessel is going to be greater than 50 metres, so we'll need the masthead light forward, the second masthead light abaft of and higher than the forward one, side lights and a stern light, and then to show that she's constrained by a draft, she just needs to be 3 all-round red lights where they can best be seen. Of course, by day that would be a cylinder. And then we can hop straight across to Rule 29, which is pilot vessels. A vessel engaged on pilotage duty shall exhibit, at or near the masthead, 2 all-round lights in a vertical line, the upper being white and the lower red. So this is going to replace any masthead lights. So you can see where before we were talking about power-driven vessel lights plus the CBD, this time we're replacing the masthead lights with pilot lights. When underway, in addition, side lights and a stern light, so she's going to be telling you if she's actually underway. And then when at anchor, in addition to the lights prescribed in paragraph 1, which is the white over red, you need to show the lights or shapes prescribed in Rule 30 for a vessel at anchor. Then a pilot vessel, when not engaged on pilotage duty, shall exhibit the lights or shapes prescribed for a similar vessel of her length. So she's probably going to be a power-driven vessel less than 50 metres in length. So if we just hop straight over, you can see this pilot vessel over here. She's going to have the all-round white over red. You can remember white over red because the pilot's in bed. So we've got the all-round white over red at the masthead, and then when she's underway, side lights and a stern light. And that actually brings us to the end of today's video. It's just been a very quick one this time around. Rule 28 and 29 are quite easy to work through. Hopefully you found the information useful. Until next time, thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hello and welcome to today's video where we're looking at Rule 30. We're covering anchored vessels and vessels aground. As always, we'll look at the rule itself and apply it with the help of a diagram. So straight in with paragraph A. A vessel at anchor shall exhibit, where it can best be seen, in the forepart, an all-round white light, or one ball. At or near the stern, and at a lower level than the lights prescribed in the first paragraph, an all-round white light. And we're going to go straight ahead with paragraph B as well, because that links in with this, and it says a vessel less than 50 metres in length may exhibit an all-round white light where it can best be seen, instead of the lights prescribed in paragraph A of this rule. So all this says is if you're less than 50 metres you only need one light, and you can put it where you like, and if you're more than 50 metres you need 2 all-round white lights, one forward, one aft. In both cases you're going to represent that with the day signal of one ball. So if we have a look over here at the diagram, we can see that this small vessel only has to have the one all-round white light where it can best be seen, and as soon as we increase that length up to more than 50 metres, we need to have 2 all-round white lights, one at the forward end, one at the after end, and the after end needs to be lower than the one at the forward end. Paragraph C says a vessel at anchor may, and a vessel of 100 metres or more in length shall, also use the available working or equivalent lights to illuminate her decks. So basically, if you're just greater than 100 metres, you have to have your deck lights on. If you're less than 100 metres, it's optional whether you have your deck lights on or not. Paragraph D starts to talk about vessels aground. A vessel aground shall exhibit the lights prescribed in paragraph A or B of this rule, which is the 2 all-round white lights if you're greater than 50 metres, or the 1 all-round white light if you're less than 50 metres. And in addition to that, where they can best be seen, you need to show 2 all-round red lights in a vertical line, or by day of course 3 balls in a vertical line. So hopping over to the diagram, we can see if this vessel was aground, it's still got that anchor light forward and aft, but in addition we just need these 2 all-round red lights wherever they can best be seen. Paragraph E, a vessel of less than 7 metres in length, when at anchor, not in or near a narrow channel, fairway or anchorage, or where other vessels normally navigate, shall not be required to exhibit the lights or shapes prescribed in paragraphs A or B of this rule. So less than 7 metres you're exempt, unless you're somewhere other vessels normally navigate. And finally paragraph F, a vessel of less than 12 metres in length, when aground, shall not be required to exhibit the lights or shapes prescribed in subparagraphs D1 or 2 of this rule. So less than 12 metres, you don't need to indicate when you're aground. And that brings us to the end of Rule 30. Hopefully you found the information useful. Until next time, thank you for watching, and goodbye.